Hello everyone, it's Vrinda here, and today we'll be discussing the financial crisis of 2008. The financial crisis originated in the US and spread across the globe. In US, they were also known as the subprime crisis of 2008. Firstly, we need to know what is a crisis. A crisis is an unstable or dangerous situation for an economy where everyone individual, group, community, or the society as a whole gets affected. It comes with negative changes for an economy, also bringing in political and social instability. To understand the financial crisis of 2008, we need to understand the mechanism in place in the US at that time. There is a term called prime loan, and here by prime we mean main. Prime loans are the main loans with high net worth. These loans are given to those who have a high net worth, that is, they can provide great collateral backing. To these loans, the borrowers have a great credit rating. These borrowers have a constant source of income to repay for their loans. Subprime loans. As the term suggests, it is something below prime loans in ranking, which suggests that their borrowers would have an average credit rating, low or unstable income, comparatively poor quality of collateral, delays in their payment history, which makes them less deserving for the loans for the commercial banks. The financial crisis of 2008 happened because of the US subprime loans. The system that prevailed in the US before the subprime crisis involved a home buyer who belonged to the prime family and was someone considered deserving for the loans by the commercial bank. At that time in the US, for mortgage, the bank used to sell the mortgage of the prime borrowers, that is, the prime family, via a broker to the investment banker. And in return, the investment banker would pay the bank in full and the broker would get his brokerage. And later, the payment made by the borrowers were paid to the investment banker to free up their mortgages. What would these investment bankers do with this mortgage? They would form securities called collateralized debt obligation or CDO. Under the CDO, the investment banker is buying loans for which he gets a fixed amount for a fixed period. And on this basis, he creates a security which would be sold to the public. Just like share, debentures, or any other security, this CDO was sold to the investors under which they were promised certain returns and interest for a fixed period. With the money from investors who have invested in CDOs, the investment bankers became more capable of buying mortgages in the future. The investor under CDO was getting slightly less interest rate compared to the investment banker who would get this interest from the borrowers. As the investors under CDO would get such good interest rates, it created an incentive for them to invest in the CDOs. This mechanism became very popular in 2002, as through this mechanism, everyone under it benefited. The investors by getting great returns, the investment bankers by getting more money to buy mortgage, the commercial banks who were able to approve more loans, the broker who got his brokerage. Another reason that attracted investors to CDOs during 2002-3 were the risk-free securities of the government. The treasury bills offered a very low rate of interest compared to the CDO. The popularity and reach of the CDOs was not only limited to the US market, but all across the globe. This method gaining such popularity increased the demand for property. As the demand increased, the market forces worked to form a new equilibrium. At this new equilibrium, the prices of property increased, which increased the amount of loans taken, benefiting the stakeholders in the mechanism. This continuous rises in property created a myth for everyone. Property markets never fall. Its impact included more investors buying CDOs, investment bankers putting pressure on brokers to find banks with more mortgages. Commercial banks also wanted to give more loans to earn more and more. However, the genuine buyers, those in capacity to repay their debts, were limited. Therefore, a limited demand existed for such loans. Commercial banks were getting pressurized to give more loans, which made the commercial banks give the loans to the subprime borrowers. For this, commercial bank launched schemes like zero down payment, no income proof required, easy loan availability. This was the change in the system. The borrowers were now the subprime borrowers. Investment bankers viewed how even if the loans were not repaid, they will always have the option to sell the mortgage in future, thus leading to creation of more CDOs and more investments by the investors. Credit rating companies had the same perception as the investment banker, which formed the basis of the good credit rating. These good ratings encouraged more and more investors to invest. Under the schemes of commercial bank, the demand for property increased, increasing the prices of property. The price rise was at such a pace that it created a balloon. With prime borrowers, the stakeholders were at low risk, but with the subprime borrowers, they were at a very high risk. Yes, defaults happened. Borrowers with low net worth made payment defaults. Their seized mortgages became available for sale. But these mortgages were so high in number that the investment bankers were left with more property than with cash. As many mortgages were up for sale and the supply of property increased than its demand, the prices of property fell. Commercial banks, investment banks took those losses. The housing bubble bursted. This surge in supply and fall in property prices induced even the prime families to make payment defaults, since their loan amounts were higher than the prevailing property price, further increasing the supply of the property. This was the US financial crisis, where commercial banks wanted to sell mortgage, but investment bankers were not willing to buy anymore, as the investors stopped investing. The one having the mortgages bore those losses. Commercial banks, when investment bankers were not buying, investment bankers with the seized mortgages. As a result, bankruptcies followed. Investment banks were left with no money and only property. The people saving their money at banks felt their money was at risk and started making withdrawals. All this led to US economy running out of liquidity. As the markets for the CDO was global, other economies where CDOs were sold experienced such crises as well. No liquidity with US resulted in fall in imports. The global interlinkages caused the export for other countries to fall. This way, the financial crisis spread to other countries and affected their liquidity as well. To take the country out of the crisis, US Federal Reserve, which is the central bank of US, provided an emergency loan to the insurance major American International Group or AIG. A loan of $85 billion was given so its assets could be sold to repay its liability. Investment bank Merrill Lynch was acquired by Bank of America to provide stability. Approval was granted to investment banks like Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley to convert them to commercial banks after they faced the liquidity problem. The September of 2008 witnessed many shakeouts for the US financial sector, which started with the Lehman Brothers declaring bankruptcy. At that time, they were among the top five investment banks, and the federal government came to bail it out. However, the amount was so big that the government had no choice but to declare them bankrupt. Further, the government took to debt restructuring by renegotiating the terms of loans with the lower income group, increasing the tenure of repayment, removing the property from available for sale. Taxes on lower income groups were reduced. so that the money could be utilized to make the repayment of home loan. This is how the situation was handled by the US government, and slowly and steadily, liquidity was restored. These were the financial crises of 2008, originated in US, spread across the globe. Thank you.